Perfect. All right. Well, I would love to introduce a dear friend, actually a mentor, somebody I have had the pleasure to get to know for the last 4.5 years that has actually really helped me with LifeWave. Um, and I don't think that I would be at the place that I am today in LifeWave without you helping me. And I want everybody to know who you are because I don't know if you're just a coworker or if you're part of my family now, but I'd like to say that you're a part of my family. So if you don't know Ta, or maybe you know Rita Kwan or Ta Kwan, but she is such a rare person that you meet once or twice in a lifetime. And I truly do believe that. You're inspiring life catalyst. You're a speaker, you're a certified life coach, homeopathic consultant, and you're also an author, best-selling author. And of course, a global entrepreneur. So here you are. And I know that if you can spend every day focusing on supporting people, you would do it. You really give a lot more than you take, and you focus on really educating people in LifeWave. That's your passion. Um, and you do live a life without limits. So I just want to introduce you as that. And really the way that we do the success stories here is it's just organic, it's free. What really do you want to share with people about, what has LifeWave done for you? Maybe there's some struggles prior to that you were dealing with that people don't know necessarily what you've had to endure while building this business and looking at the health of yourself as well as your family members.
Thank you, Tina. Very kind, very, very kind. I love being able to work with Tina and so many of you. It's an honor, a privilege to be in service to such extraordinary people that I see being called into LifeWave. So thank you. Thank you for answering the call. We are definitely stronger together every step of the way. I do want to just give some bullet points to kind of create a context that I'm not a lifer in this industry like some people are. I came to this industry in 2004 because I happened to run into Renata physically, run into Renata. She actually came around the corner and bounced off of me. It was like hitting a hot air balloon, because Renata's this big and I'm bigger than that. And at the time, I was close to 400 pounds, and she came flying around this corner and ran into me, and I thought she was going to bounce over. It was like a cartoon. And unfortunately, I'm one of those people that when that kind of things happen, I laugh. And I don't mean to laugh because I don't want anybody to hurt themselves, but it was very comical. And then she looked at me, her eyes flew open, and it was like, you know, running into a hot air balloon or something. And the words out of her mouth is, I'm so sorry. I think I have something that can help you. Let me buy you a cup of coffee and we'll talk about it. It just came out of her mouth. And then, before she can even think about it, because her natural is to help. That's what she goes to. And I heard myself say, okay. It's like, okay, I don't even know this person, right? I don't even drink coffee. So that was my introduction to this industry. And we got to work together and we got to do some great things. And when LifeWave came along, which if we had known, we would have been here a long time ago, we decided this was it. So when I came into LifeWave, however, the years of my husband's illness really took a toll. In 2013, he had a gallbladder attack and was rushed to the hospital, and they removed his gallbladder, and he got a bacterial infection that spread to his brain. And who he was disappeared. But his body kept deteriorating. And, through some research I did, 50% of people that have that don't survive. And unfortunately, the ones that do, it's absolute horror what happens after that. And I did my best to try and take care of him, while I was working. I unplugged from the industry for 3 years, and the money kept coming in to help support his care. That's what this industry can do for you. And during that time, I mean, everyone else didn't stop. They weren't my employees, right? So it wasn't like if I had been working at a traditional company. I helped launch the first electronic medical records company back in 1990. If I had still been there, they would have fired me after 3 weeks. So the industry was able to help me take care of him and myself. But the toll it took on my heart was extreme. My heart completely jumped out of rhythm. It was leaping around like a frog in my chest, and I could hardly breathe. My pulse dropped to 30. My blood pressure soared to 215 over 110 on a regular basis. And this went on for a very, very long time. And he wasn't well for decades, but the last 10 years were real horror. And I I believe, I'm a believer. I believe there was something or someone on this planet who could save him. And with the help of my brother, who was one of the top microbiologists in the world before he retired, we went everywhere. And we talked to the highest and best all over the world. And some of them said, there is one or two people I'm sure on the planet who can help, but we have no way of finding them. So I used all of my resources. There wasn't anything I would not do for my husband. And by the time he passed, I was basically at zero. I had, sold a house, I'd done everything, I liquidated everything. And there was quite a bit to liquidate at the time. And I was at zero. And Renata and I flipped a switch on LifeWave, and it was 4 years last August. And now I'm senior presidential director, and I've tripled what I did in the last company. And it's because of people like you. This is your achievement, and I get to wear it, and I get to be in service back to you because of it. And that's what LifeWave can do. So that's just from a, overall general perspective. But the physical side of it, my body has learned to want less food. Not from a diet, I've been on every diet in the world. There isn't a diet that I have not tried. And I'm still curious about some, but I do know that it's not something you're going to do for a period of time that's going to make a difference. It's a long-term commitment, lifetime commitment. And now I get to feel like a normal person, quote, normal, whatever that is. I can actually eat a small meal and be satisfied. That never happened before, ever, ever. The more I would eat, the hungrier I would get. And if I did do some program and I was fortunate enough to release some fat, some weight, it came back with a vengeance plus some every single time because the program, I wouldn't be able to foundation we talk about, this true foundation where the body can respond to every good thing you do for it. So I gave up sugar. I thought, I know this is not good for me. I'm not a big sugar person, so it wasn't as hard as it is for some people. I am a big salt crunch person, however. And so I thought, okay, let's do sugar. I can do sugar. So the only sugar I have now is if I eat blueberries in the summertime, mostly raspberries. I have a couple of apples a week. And on my birthday, I had two cookies, right? Two of the best cooked. They're the best ones in the world, but they're small. And you know what? They didn't taste as good as I remember them. So I am so much more in tune with the body. So being on this technology supports you physically, emotionally, mentally, supports your soul and your spirit. That's what a lot of people don't realize. So the emotional cravings, or when you get triggered, when I get triggered, it's always something, to do with a family member or something. And immediately I know the body's not hungry, but I find myself eating. I used to have this voice in my head that says, okay, don't eat good. I'd go someplace and there'd be this whole layout of stuff that I never buy, and it's like, oh, look at that. And like when we were in Aruba, that whole table of sweets that they rolled out,
Yeah.
right? So, and before I would probably have eaten quite a bit of it. And in my head, I'd be saying, now stop while I was eating it.
Mhm.
That doesn't happen anymore. I'm not even interested. I was able to go to the convention and stay with my friend Peggy. And Peggy had a little event. And so when you have an event, you have a variety of things for people, and so she had a little bowl of chocolates there. Not once was I even interested. That's a miracle. And for all of you that are like me, you know that's a miracle. So I'm pleased. I'm the only person in my family that her sugar balance is not out of balance. The only one going back generations. So this is a generation breaker.
Mhm.
This is something that said, well, my father and my grandfather had it, or my mother and my grandmother. Doesn't mean anything anymore. That's what I'm learning. And on my birthday, I'll share this one more thing. I decided I was 75 years old. And by the way, my doctor tells me my blood work looks more like a healthy 40-year-old. And she has no idea, well, had no idea how I was doing this, because she said, with your medical history, there's not this is not possible, not possible. So, along with my blood pressure being 120 over 70, right? And it can go up. I drove 2 hours to my cardiologist check-in the other day. And when I am on the freeway, my blood pressure will get up to 135 over 80. But it doesn't get close to 215 over 110. Not anymore. It's a miracle. So on my birthday, I did a really fun thing for myself. I went to an event that was happening about an hour away. There was a gentleman coming who I really wanted to see in person. And I went to the event, and it was so inspiring. This man is incredibly inspiring. Was so inspiring. I felt like I just cracked open, and this old wound that I've been carrying around since I was 17 years old, when music was my first and only love. And I sang opera actually for about 8 years when I was growing up. And I loved to sing. No, wasn't crazy about opera actually, but it was my mother's favorite, and she paid for the music lessons. And I had solos and did all kinds of stuff. And I just soar. The voice would take me anywhere I wanted to go. It was absolute freedom. And I was certain I was going to be a singer and I was going to tour the world. And that was the path. And that was the only thing I ever felt like I really fit into. And my music teacher said to me very seriously, in a very harsh tone, He kind of yelled at me one day. He said, "You can sing or you can have a life, but you can't have both." And I thought at the time, because I had such poor self-worth in myself, music was my whole life. I thought he was telling me I wasn't good enough.
Mm.
And I walked away. And it's been a wound my
Mm.
whole life. And I didn't sing again. And I couldn't listen to vocal music most of my life. I would sob. And even though I wanted to go back, it just felt like it's gone too far. The voice is gone. I had a 7.5 usable octave range at one time. But that day on my birthday, when everything seemed to be available and everything felt like it was getting released, I made a promise to myself that I would sing again. And in going back and reflecting all the steps that I have taken over the decades, over the years to get me here, it is this industry and it is these products that have helped me feel strong enough, capable enough, with enough confidence and courage that I can sing, maybe just for myself, that I can sing again and recapture my dream.
I
That,
And that's really big for even in the fa past 4.5 years, you have opened up a lot more. Like you're Mama Tah. That's what I call you, right? Because you're like, if I have my down days or anything like that, you're like, what do you need? What can I do? And I didn't introduce you as senior presidential director, which is like SPD, but there was the day where you decided that you were going to go for the top rank. And we're going to talk about, I mean, like we've talked about your health, your heart, we can talk about your age, right?
oh yeah.
70s, you're getting better results with your cardiologist and they can't understand it. I mean, they're just products aren't really up for discussion. They're proven over 20 plus years and all the patents and the research and everything and the experience that we're having. But when you decided you were going to go to SPD, you had to do something. And I remember sitting on my couch because I've had the opportunity to really get to know you. And I remember that message where you said, I need some help. I'm going to do this. And I looked over at my husband, who you absolutely know from Aruba, and which is great because I was like, oh my goodness, one of my two favorite people. I hope they get along. And you guys did. So it was wonderful because as I can always spin it to it's all about me. So thank you for getting along. But I looked at Brian and I said, wow, Taz just asked for help. I don't know how she's going to handle that. That's a big thing. What was that like?
Well, it was the lead in. At convention, I got a chance to stay with my good friend Peggy Campagna. It's just salt of the earth. And Glenda and Sheila, two sisters, also good friends of Peggy's and good friends of mine. They have a transformative business that I also am incredibly grateful to because they help me get into the skin that I wear, and that aids confidence as well as courage. So every puzzle piece I've put in place, right? Everything, wearing the patches, engaging in this business, being in service to people, right? Drinking the water, giving up sugar every step of the way. And then making the decision. I could have gone to Dallas and not connected with Glenda and Sheila and done a wild shopping that was absolutely extraordinary, right? To get me into new skins, right? I call it skins, new clothing that also helps your light shine. That also helped me break open to make the decision to, have that fun on my birthday. And then you went to the next level. You said, I'm going for it. And I thought, this is the time to go for it. So we inspire each other. You inspired me, I inspire you. And I looked around and thought, now's the time. Let's do it. But in order to do it, I need to ask for help. Well, asking for help is not so easy, right? We love to help, but receiving help means we got to open ourselves up. Because if you ask for help and then it doesn't come, and then we might get hurt, all of that stuff starts happening. Yeah, I was just in this place where it's like, yep, I'm going to go for it. And I had been close before to SPD, but I wasn't willing to ask for help at that point. Now I was. And so I asked, and immediately Renata put it out on our Facebook group, right? And immediately Dawn Costanza come back and said, well, how many points do you need? Right? Because she's so spectacular about let's get it done. Let's get it done. What does it take? Let's do it. Right? I mean, if anybody should wear a necklace of unstoppable, it's Dawn. Absolutely. And it just started happening. And thank you, everyone, because everyone showed up. I have never felt so loved in my life. In my life. And I know my dear David's looking down and saying, fantastic. I know he's here in spirit. And he wasn't able to be with a whole bunch of people at one time. He was a one person at a time, so he's very comfortable, being with the divine, being with God, and cheering on from there. But thank you, and we can do this for each other every step of the way.
Thank you so much, Ta. And yeah, you are so loved and you are support. You're a pillar of support when it comes to all the patch training that you do, all the business training, and then just you're always there. So thank you so much for letting people see who you are the way that I've had the opportunity to see for the last 4.5 years working with you. So thank you so much. This has been a beautiful interview and success story. Yeah.